What's up, everybody? Chris M. Walker from Legiit and Superstar SEO here. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about something that I see as a pretty big problem in the SEO industry and one that there's not really a great answer to. And I'm going to try to answer it for you and then give you a tool that you can use to kind of improve it in your own business. So stick around till the end for that. And then I'm going to show you a way that you can actually handle this as well. And what I'm talking about is SEO pricing. Specifically, if you offer SEO services to clients and to businesses. What I'm seeing a lot of is one of three different scenarios, and none of them are good for anybody. The first one is that SEOs charge way too little. So they charge, $500, $300 a month, maybe a little more than that. And they leave themselves absolutely no room to do anything or to make any profit for themselves. And that's kind of the whole point of running an SEO agency, is to make a profit and make a living from it. The other thing I see is them doing the exact opposite and charging way too much. So they'll get some mom and pop small business and charge them, $4,000 a month or some ridiculous amount where they can't possibly make an ROI on what they're doing. So where the business, the client, can't possibly make an ROI on what they're being charged for SEO. That's not cool either. And then the other thing I see is gigantic agencies with thousands of clients or hundreds of clients that have like an account rep, and they don't even really do anything for them. They do a web design and then they add SEO, and then maybe all they do is some citations or even, less than that, set up their H tags and stuff. Those agencies tend to charge a fairly small amount, but they don't do anything. So that's a ripoff too. So it's a big problem in the industry, and it's one I'm going to attempt to address in this video and try to help everyone out with a way they can do their SEO pricing that's fair to everyone, to where they'll make a living, to where the client will be able to profit from it, and everybody wins. And then, like I said, if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you access to the tool that I had made for you so you can kind of figure out the pricing on your own. And I'm going to show you a way to reliably keep your costs down so that you can scale the business and do SEO for as many clients as you'd like. So let's jump over to my computer, get into it. All right, so what I have here is what I have called the SEO Pricing Matrix. And I'm going to walk you through the different things in it and show you the conclusions that I come out. But basically, you're just going to input the different things, and it's going to tell you if you are charging enough, charging too much, or charging too little. And if it's charging too much or charging too little, it's going to tell you to rework it. If not, it's going to tell you that you have a good price. So that's kind of what this is going to do, and it's going to really take a lot of the guesswork out of it for you. So I'm going to walk you through the different steps in it so you can kind of see how it works. And then at the end, I'll give you access to this in the description and in the comments. Basically, we have in-source, and this is basically your rate. So anything that you are going to be doing yourself, whether it's you personally or someone that works for you, that's stuff that your company is going to be doing. You have to factor in how much your time is worth. Now, you may not, and I don't recommend that you do, charge an hourly rate, but you still need to know how much your time is valued at, and that's something you're going to have to come up with on your own, because I can't really answer that for you. But that's basically what that category is. Outsource, and this is what I'm going to recommend you do a lot of, is any task that you outsource, basically. And then links, if you have to do any link building. A lot of the times these two are going to be all in one, because I'm going to recommend you outsource everything to Legiit so you can get more stuff done. But that's that. And then your other costs are going to be your softwares, your whatever other tools and expenses you have. Then it's going to give you the total cost to deliver, which is basically going to be the sum of that. And then you need to build in a profit margin too. And this is where a lot of people go wrong, is they will go ahead and calculate the total cost to deliver, and base their price off of that and not build in a profit margin for themselves. And that's when they end up charging too little and not being able to run a business properly. So if you're going to run an SEO business at scale, you are going to have to outsource. You are going to have to account for your own time. And then you need to account for some profit for yourself too, because we want to make money. That's why we're doing this. And then this will tell you the monthly minimum to charge. Now, that's where most people would stop, right? They would say, okay, this is what I charge, and clients be damned. That's unethical. You can't charge people something that's not going to benefit them. If you do, you should get out of business. So the next thing you got, so that leaves us with the next thing you have to do, which is figure out if you are going to actually benefit the client at that rate. So then what we come down here is we have the average order value, job value, customer value. So this is what you would figure out. Suppose you're targeting plumbers, you're targeting dentists, whatever. You have to find out, and you'll have to do some research. You'll have to talk to people, and you're actually going to have to do work. I know that's going to be painful for some of you, but you're going to have to do the work to figure out what this is if you want to actually run an ethical and profitable SEO business. So that would be, maybe an average client is worth $1,000 to them. Maybe it's worth $5,000 to them. Maybe it's worth $35 to them. You have to know that, and you have to build that in. And then what you want to do is take the total search volume of all the keywords that you're going to target and put that in here. And again, I'm going to zoom in so you can see that a little better, but you need to be realistic and not cheat. Well, I guess I'm not going to zoom in. Okay. Anyway, you need to be realistic and not cheat. So for example, if you're targeting plumbers in Miami plumber and Miami plumbers don't count as two different keywords. They're both going to show, I don't know what the number is. This could be way off, but they're both going to show 1,200 searches a month. That doesn't mean that you get to count 2,400 searches for the two of those, because that's the same people. So that's just something to be. Then you need to look at the expected traffic. So to getting in the top three, you're going to assume, and you can change this number to be whatever you want, but I find it to be 40% to be accurate. So if this number comes out to 1,000, then the top three are going to get 400 of those clicks. So that's where that'll calculate for you. So whatever your number end up here, that will divide by 40. And of course you can change this if you want to for some reason. And then you assume a certain conversion rate. I put it at 3%. That may be too high. That may be too low. That's up to you to figure out. If you want to change that, you can. But basically, of those 40% that click, 3% of them are going to turn into customers. So now, based on these four rows, you're going to have enough information to know how much they are going to generate from your efforts. Then it will calculate the total revenue generated in the first 3 months, the first 6 months, and the first year. And that's going to assume no new sales in month 1 and 2, because it takes a while. SEO takes a while. So they're going to have to accept that in the first couple months, this may not lead to any results. If it does, and you over deliver, great. And it also assumes 50% sales in month 3. And then the same thing for month 6, it just multiplies it by 6. And then for the year, we actually, to account for fluctuations in business, we do that by 10 instead of by 12 months. Now, again, you can change that if you want. You want to be conservative is what I'm saying, and make sure that you're not over-promising how many sales somebody's going to get, but that's going to show them how much they can expect to make in 3 months, how much they can expect to make in 6 months, and how much they can expect to make in a year, assuming that you're good at your job. Basically, that's pretty much it. Now, we come down here to the pricer category or section or whatever you want to call it. What will it cost you to get results? So that's basically going to be E8, which is this up here. That's what it's going to cost you. This is how much they review, the monthly. This is how much they can expect to make. So it's basically that divided by 12. That's per month. And then what you charge per month is obviously up there from E10. From the monthly minimum charge. That's the absolute minimum that you should charge. Then you come up with your profit, which is whatever, that's going to be those numbers. And then does the customer profit in the first 3 months? So this is where it's going to be. If they don't, then you need to rework this and either cut your costs or, it depends on the reason that they don't. If they're not profiting, you need to find a way to at least make it break even for them. So, or make them a profit, because again, your job is to get them profit. So we're going to go through an example here in a minute, but I wanted to walk you through each of those. And then if you get confused on what's what, you can kind of come over and do each one individually as well. So there's a lot you can do with this, and you can play with the numbers to make it work for you. But basically, this is what you need to do to determine proper client pricing. So let's walk through a made-up example. Say that we are targeting, since it's here, we'll do a plumber in Miami. So in source, we're going to do, I don't know how many hours. Let's say we'll do 10 hours of our own at $50 an hour. That's how much I value my time at. Not me personally, just hypothetically. So you're at $500. Then you're going to outsource, I don't know, another 10 hours at, say, $12 an hour. That's going to bring your cost to that. And then for backlinks, this is going to get expensive. Suppose you're going to do 5. And like I say, guys, you can merge outsource and backlinks if you want. And those are going to cost you $75 a piece. So there we have it. Your cost to deliver is going to be $990. Well, we got to put in tools. Sorry. You can put in tools. Let's just do one and kind of combine them all into one and say 300. So there you have it. You see, it adds up pretty quickly, right? With a profit margin and the tools and everything you have, that you're up to $16.84 a month. That it's basically the minimum you should absolutely charge, which makes sense because I always said $1,500, and give or take. So next up, we have this. Now, this is something you're going to have to figure out on your own, right? Like you're going to have to go out there, do the research on the niche you're targeting. You're going to have to talk to people. You need to know what you're doing before you sell what you're doing to people. It's just the right way to do business. I'm not targeting plumbers, so for this example, we're going to make shit up. But basically, let's say we do, I don't know, let's say an average plumbing job is worth $500. That may be way off. I don't know. Okay, and then total search volume. Suppose we're going to target 10 different keywords, and it's going to come out to, I don't know, 3,000 searches a month. And that means that they can expect to get 1,200 clicks a month once they're ranking in the top 3 and generate 36 new sales. That means by our calculations, in the first 3 months, they will, excuse me, they will make $9,000. In the first 6 months, they'll make $63,000. And in the first year, they'll make $171,000. And again, you're free to play with those numbers if you think my math is too high or too low or whatever, but you need to have a formula somewhat like this, and you can edit this however you want. So that means that it'll cost you $1,295. Your gross monthly will be that, and so on. Now and it's a win-win. So that means you could do it. In fact, that means that you can probably raise your price to, let's say, 40%. And you can raise it up to, let's say, I want to get it to a point where it's not a win-win, basically. So, and you can get as greedy as you want. You see, I've raised this up to 125% at $2,914 a month, and it's still a win-win. Now, I think if I get up to like 150, then it becomes bad for the customer. So it really just depends on how greedy you want to get. So you see, at 150, it's a ripoff. So I'm trying to find the specific number. So let's say like 135. Yeah. So it looks like about 125% is maximum that profit we can get out of this one, assuming these costs are correct. You may need to go higher. So, excuse me. And that puts you at $2,900 a month, and that would make them break even. They would, that would make you break even. That would make profit for them, and so on. So, it depends on how you're going to get. Now, you want to make sure that you're doing a good job with your outsourcing numbers, because you may need, instead of 12 hours of VA, you may need 120 hours to deliver those kinds of results. And now you got to cut down your profit margin to, let's say, 100% or even more. 50. See, you just keep tweaking this number until it becomes a win for everybody. 25. So 25% margin, pretty respectable, especially considering you're outsourcing 120 hours worth of it. So there's different ways you can go about it, but I'm going to show you ways that you can cut down on all of these costs and then raise the price on it. But hopefully this makes a lot of sense. Now, again, these numbers are completely arbitrary. I'm making them up as I go. You're going to have to do the research to find out what your costs are going to be. And I'm going to show you some ways to get a lot of this down to zero or a lot lower than I've estimated here. That way you'll be able to raise this number up and still make it a win-win for everybody, because that's ultimately the goal is all we do is win. So I know I've kind of blazed through this, but again, real quick, you just want to put in your hours, your outsourcing, your software and other expenses, and then figure out your profit margin. And then once you figure out this, you can play with what it's worth to the client, for over 3, 6, and 12 months. Then you can figure out if it's a win-win and start raising up your profit until you get to a break-even point, and or depending on how greedy you want to get or how much of a sale you think you can make. So the way to make now obviously the goal for us as an SEO business is to make as much profit as possible, right? I mean, that's anybody that has a problem with that is probably not in business. We'll just put it that way. But what we want to do is figure out ways to get these costs down. So let's start over. We'll leave this at the same. Again, this is probably overly optimistic, but you get the idea. So let's just cut that down to 2,000, in fact, to make this work a little better. Then what we need to do is delete these numbers and kind of start from the beginning. So let's see how we can replace these numbers. Our own hours, there's not much we can really do about that. We can devalue our time if we want to, but I don't really think you should do that. You need to appreciate it. But you do need to be systematized, and I have other training on how to systematize your service, your business. So check that out. But ultimately, this we can't really play with. In fact, that number may be too low, but if you're spending more than 10 hours on a particular client, and you're doing something wrong. So that's that. Now, outsourcing VA and link building hours. This is where you can really save yourself some money. And what I'm going to suggest you do is you outsource the entire process, basically the fulfillment process. And what I suggest you do is use this week's Legiit featured service of the week. This is from one of the people that I was lucky enough to learn from in the beginning and has a great reputation in the SEO industry is Gregory Ortiz. I'll go ahead and open that in another tab. But this is his white label SEO, proven results done for you. I persuaded him to add this to the platform because I know who he is. I've seen the results he gets, and basically he knows what he's doing, right? And what you can do here is take one of these packages, the 400, 600, or 900. Let's say 5 geo areas, 5 base keywords. That's $700 a month. That's the most expensive package. So let's use that. So what you can then do is remove this, or let's just say you can put this down to like 5 at 8. And then you can put this down to 1 at 700. And then tools, that's another spot where we can save you some money. But basically, before we get into that, let's review what we've done here. We've left our time at its own. We're still going to leave in a little bit of VA hours in case you need to, in fact, let's go and make that 10. In case you need somebody to like respond to emails or just a wild card. And then we're outsourcing all of the SEO. That says link building, but that could be, any task that you're outsourcing. And you're outsourcing all of that to this package because now you have someone that can do all the work for you and get results after results after results after results. If you Google like NYC SEO or I think it's like New York City SEO and stuff like that, you'll find Gregory ranking for those too. So his reputation is unquestioned. So check those out. But that's basically where you're reducing that cost. Now, we want to reduce this cost too because we need a rank tracker and we need backlink checking and we need all of that. So what you can do is come up here and go to dashboard. And basically you can connect your site to the Get More Stuff Done dashboard, which I have other videos on and I will link to at the end as well as in the description. But basically this will eliminate the need for all of this because now you have a rank tracker built in, and I just have dummy data in here. You have backlink analysis built in. You have traffic tracking built in. You have keyword audit built in. You're going to have white label reports that you'll get every week that we just launched today, so they don't have any there yet. And you have page speed, and you have all these other tools built in. And this is completely free for one campaign. So that's that. And if you need more for some reason, the cost is nominal, and you'll be able to spread that out over all of your campaigns. So you can see that for $27 or $99 you can do that too. So that eliminates that cost altogether. So we can bring that down to nothing. So that gives us some money to play with, right? Now we're assuming that we make these kinds. We're assuming $500 for a client is worth it. Maybe that's too much. Let's bring that down to $300. I don't really know what plumbers charge. I don't really know what plumbers charge, so I'm assuming 500. Maybe that's too much. Maybe that's too little. We're going to get them 2,000 searches a month from keywords that we target. I don't think that's unreasonable for a term in a big city like Miami and for an industry like plumbing. You should be able to easily find that kind of keyword. those kinds of keywords, and do that. And again, this is just a random example. Find something that makes sense for you. And then expected traffic is basically 40% of whatever this number is, and that's once you get them to the top 3. And this is assuming that you won't get them to the top 3 until month 3 or 4. So we're being conservative there. And then 3% of those will convert. So maybe that's too high. Play with the numbers, figure out what works for you. But basically you have a way to make this work. Just don't cheat, And that will show them that they'll make $6,000 in the first 3 months, $42,000 in the first 6, and $114,000 in the first year. And again, these are all adjustable if you want to adjust them. So, and again, we've baked in some slow months into the year's formula as well. So just keep that in mind, that you can play with that too. And then we'll have the expenses and so on. So now you can try to raise your, at $1,600 a month, it's a win-win. You're making 25% profit. They're making money. It was a win for everybody. So let's see how high we can get this. I don't think we can really get it too much higher though. 30%. You can get up to 40%. 50%. And there's probably a simpler way to do this, but I'm not a spreadsheet wizard. So let's just go with 50% and not be too greedy. So you can make 50%, you can charge them $1,920 a month, have all your costs covered, have set proper expectations on when they can see when they can expect to see results, how much results they'll be able to expect to see, and then you can see that it's a win-win for you. So basically, all you have to do is plug in a handful of numbers and do it, and then you can use and get the work done for you. You can get that from anywhere from $500 to $700 a month. You can also use whatever else on Legiit that you want to, if you want to do it a piece at a time. That's certainly an option too. And then there are other white label providers as well. And then you can, of course, use the dashboard to get rid of the cost of all of your SEO tools. So between this pricing matrix, this service, and this tool, you will have everything you need to be able to charge whatever you need to make sure that you make enough money to make a nice living on, that your clients actually make money from the work that you do, and so on. So that's kind of the solution to SEO pricing. I'm going to put the link to this. What you're going to need to do is, it's going to be non-editable. What you're going to have to do is come up here and go make a copy and then use it yourself in your own Google Drive. And then each one of these is explained over here as well if you want to play with them individually. And of course, if you have questions, you can ask about that. I'll have the link to this service because it is this week's Legiit featured service of the week. That will be in the description as well as the first comment. And then the link to the dashboard as well as the video that you can watch on how to go through the entire dashboard process will be there as well. So there will also be a link to the dashboard in the description, as well as the first comment, so you can see how to set that up. And then the video on how to go about using that will be on the screen at the end of this. It will be in the description, and I don't think it'll be in the comment. It'll be in the description. So I'm going to hop back on camera real quick and wrap things up. All right, there you have it. That is the SEO Pricing Matrix. That is a tool that I hope you will find useful, that I put together for you so that you can run an ethical SEO business where you make enough money for yourself and your family and your needs. Your client makes money from your efforts, and everybody wins. So there's also a way to cut down your costs by outsourcing the work. There's also a tool to get rid of all the other tools that are clogging up your expenses. And that whole package together is going to simplify your SEO business. You're really going to have everything you need. All you're going to have to do then is do the research on your industry and go out there and close sales. And if you need help finding leads, you can use Legiit Leads too. I've got everything you need to run a successful SEO business. So that's what I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. Do me a favor, because I'm told that this helps. I would like for you to click like. I would love it if you could leave a comment. And then if you want to share this or subscribe, that would be great too. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out Legiit. Check out the Legiit Get More Stuff Done dashboard. Check out the SEO Pricing Matrix. And check out this week's Legiit Featured Service of the Week from Gregory Ortiz. I appreciate you. I'll see you again soon. Peace.